Welcome in, everyone, to the Football Addicts Anonymous podcast. Me and Mark today. Chris may or may not be on later. We'll have to see. Trying to get everything moved in here in Milwaukee. Welcome in, everyone, to it's the Football Addicts Anonymous podcast. It's been quite the move-in process. So good times though. I still have my virtual background on right now. I haven't got my podcast corner set up yet, but when I do, there will be stuff on the walls behind me. All right, today recapping the preseason games going on over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and yesterday. Got some NFL news, and then we'll finish up with previewing the Thursday night preseason game between the Eagles and Patriots and the Big Ten, Conference USA, and FBS Independents. So, if my computer would like to load. Okay, starting off, first game here. Titans beat the Falcons 23-3. This was starting on Friday's games. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really get to watch too much this weekend with moving in and everything. I did a little bit of the Friday games and yesterday's game, but Saturday's games, not many. I got to watch, but yeah. Not many starters played in this one. Felipe Franks, actually, his legs was the biggest thing in this one. Was not good at all through the air. And obviously the Falcons offensively overall struggled. So
that might be the case all season. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we saw again, though, like their defense can't stop the opponent giving up 23 points, which is 23 points pretty high to give a lot of points to give up in the preseason game, as we've seen from what the scores were, at least this first week. Not many teams were scoring over 20 points. So very low scoring preseason week one. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really find anything big other than Felipe Franks running the ball in this one. Rashad Weaver, the rookie from Pitt, had himself quite a game. 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, pass flex, and 2 quarterback hits there. And then Dorian Etheridge for the Falcons, 13 tackles, probably because the Falcons defense was on the field for so long.
At least he did something when he was on there.
Yeah. Like I said, not very inspiring quarterback play, not very inspiring offensive statistics overall, but Titans got it done, and they beat them by 20 points. So Titans covered plus 2.5, under 38. The under was the biggest storyline of the betting weekend in preseason. I believe the under went, I don't know. It was crazy. There was like 1 or 2 overs.
This is like you said, a game. I didn't get to catch this game, but this is like the opposite of the games that I caught. A lot of the games I caught, I was pretty tickled with some of the quarterback play. I think the NFL future at the quarterback position is going to be in good hands.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the Bills beating the Lions 16-15 in Detroit. Now, this one I did watch. I was at dinner watching the game. They had it on NFL Network there. So, Davis Webb started the game. Or no, Mitchell Trubisky started the game for the Bills. Josh Allen not playing. Trubisky didn't go very long. Davis Webb played the majority of the game and didn't look bad. But good old Jake from State Farm got it done when he needed to. David Blau for the Lions drove down and got a field goal, I believe it was, to make it 13-15.
So the question is, are the Bills going to carry 4 quarterbacks? No way.
No. Fromm's on the outside looking in with Davis Webb there.
I mean, he played well. I mean, Fishing, I guess, is a touchdown, had a few carries, 11 to 16. And so I definitely see the pecking order the way you're seeing it.
Yeah.
Allen, Trubisky, and Webb, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think, though, you could see Jake Fromm improving. There were some great throws down the sideline from him. And obviously, like I said, he got it done when he needed to. They got the ball back with 1:38, down by 2, and he drove them into range with Tyler Bass hitting the game winner from 44 yards out.
I mean, I think another thing that maybe we take in consideration, because it's only the first game, is he was away from the team all last year. I think some of it had to do with that social media that they found out about, but also think to keep safety protocols. And so maybe the more that he's around the team or more reps, maybe he gets into that third slot.
Yeah, and I didn't really see the beginning of this game, so I picked it up, I think, in the second quarter is when I got to the restaurant. But so I didn't really get to see Jared Goff. I was surprised about Jared Goff's numbers. I mean, not a lot of yards necessarily, only about 8 yards per completion, but 7 of 9, very efficient there. They didn't score when Goff was playing, I don't think. Maybe they did that second drive. Oh yeah. Goff got him to 3 points, tied it up at 3, and then I think he was done after that. Yeah, Tim Boyle went in after that. But yeah, I think that's encouraging for Lions fans. It's not encouraging for my under 5 wins bet for the Lions. But yeah, and the leading rusher in the game there, 49 yards from Craig Reynolds. I had never heard of that guy, but when I looked him up, when I was putting the stats in here, from Kutztown, good old PSAC school. They always find a way to get to the league. Someone does in a PSAC every year. Singletary looked good, 42 yards there. Also had a receiving touchdown from Webb. And then rookie from Houston, Marquez Stevenson, leading the way in receiving yards for the game, 50 yards off 3 catches. A lot of sacks on defense, but no one really standing out, all having the same stats pretty much, except for DeMar Hamlin. Picked up a pass deflection along with sack, tackle for loss, quarterback hit.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting moving forward. Both teams, just we know Allen just signed a big contract. Can he repeat after having a great year? And what does Jared look like in a new uniform and a new coaching staff?
Yep. Bills covered +2, under 37. Cardinals, another close one on Friday night. Taking down the Cowboys 19-16. Chris Streveler and Colt McCoy, the 2 quarterbacks for the Cardinals. Streveler, known for his rushing ability, 55 yards there. I think the Cardinals were happy to see Colt McCoy go 85% as their new backup this year. And
I think getting some running game, just they, with injuries and who they traded to Houston and that backfield, I think they're really looking to see what they can do with the run game. A efficient run game is only going to make Their young quarterback even better. We already know he's got good wideouts. Once they begin the season, you're not going to see him a lot in the preseason. So looking at the Benjamin, 5 carries for 50 yards, that's really efficient. I know that's not sustainable, but it's efficient, right? With the snaps that he got.
Yeah, it's always funny though when you look at those because it's so misleading. His long,
you could have 1 carry for like 40 yards, right?
yeah, he had his longest carry was 38 yards.
So then 12 on 4.
Yeah,
and that's what I worry about with the Cardinals is the run game. Is your run game going to come from your quarterback consistently? That means that he's got to do it all. Or are you going to really find a backfield that can complement him?
Yeah, I think Kyler Murray consistently runs for about 700, 800 yards per year. So Chase Edmonds did play 3 carries, 10 yards, 3.3 per. James Conner did not. But yeah, Benjamin being a second-year guy. Yeah, 7th rounder last year. Be interesting to see if he is on the roster for one. I think he will be. He's a good change of pace. He's smaller, very quick. So, receiving wise, Cedric Wilson led the way with 40 yards. A rookie from Iowa, Brandon Smith, had a 1-yard touchdown off of Ben DiNucci. And then defensively, Dorrance Armstrong. I mean, good Lord. Filling the stat sheet there. Cowboys defensive end.
Did it all.
Yeah. Him and Rondell Carter. Carter with 3 QB hits there. And then Matt Prater had himself a game. 4 for 4, 48 long, 47-yard game winner.
That's a game right there. That's a fantasy kicking game right there.
There were a bunch of those performances this weekend, though. That's the thing. Low scoring preseason week. Cardinals covered -2, under 38. Saturday's games. I was hearing about this all day long. Bears beat the Dolphins 20-13, and it's Justin Fields. That's what everyone is talking about right now. 70%, 142 touchdown, also ran one in.
It's one game, so I'm not going to jump the gun. But the only thing when I was watching this game that went through my mind, and I was talking to a Packers fan that used to live in Athens and has moved back to Wisconsin, is have the Bears finally found a quarterback that they can build around, have trust in, get excited. Notice I'm not saying, franchise or foundational because it's one game, right? But if he can do this throughout the year, and maybe you even let Andy Dalton start the season so that he doesn't just get blindsided when everybody is back in full force, in all these games at the beginning of the year. But there was glimpses that they finally have a quarterback in Chicago. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to toot the horn, but it was nice to watch this. To me, he looked comfortable in the pocket. A few times he checked down. A few times he did hold the ball too long, like it's, been said of him. But he looked like he's going to have a good career if he can play like this against all first-team defense once that happens.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
You got to remember that he beat Clemson, and everybody thought it was going to be Clemson-Alabama rematch. And even though the game wasn't close in the national championship, I don't think it was any of just him. You know what I mean? Alabama just put on a slaughter because their offense, their wide receivers, their schemes. He did everything he could on the offensive side of the ball. They get an injury in the backfield in that championship game everybody remembers, and he doesn't have the wide receivers that Alabama had. So if you can get pieces around him, I think he can be their quarterback going forward.
And that's the thing, though. We need to see it against the starting defense of the Miami Dolphins, who we know has a very solid defensive core.
I mean, that's why I'm not tooting the horn too loud, right? Like, I'm giving him props because he looked good. It's professional. He still missed 6 throws, but you got to do it against first-team defense. But if he can, think about this in that division. Not to, just stay on this too long, but Aaron Rodgers could be out in the next few years. The Lions now have a new coaching staff, and we don't know what that quarterback play is going to look like. Is it going to be mixed reviews like in St. Louis? Cousins, it's kind of like a teeter-totter as well. Some good, some bad, some good, some bad. So going forward, if he can solidify himself in year 3, 4, 5, the Bears might be on top of that division. Maybe. Jordan Love is also a quarterback to watch for as he matures.
Yeah, I think it's funny that everyone's kind of always been down on Justin Fields. Georgia cast him away. He was the 4th quarterback picked in the draft. So,
Look, if anyone is watching that's a Georgia fan, Fromm had a great freshman year, and it was 100% because of the people in his backfield. And you also had Roquan Smith on the other side of the ball. And each year he regressed or went on a decline, on a downside. That if we would have had Justin Fields, maybe a championship, if not another Final Four, if that makes sense.
Switching over to the Dolphins, I liked the stats that I found from Tua. Not sure what happened with the pick, but that's fine. It's preseason week 1, so it's but yeah, still high on Tua. Like the Dolphins offense. Mike Gesicki got involved, led or was a yard off of the leading receiver for the game. Defensively, again, nothing too flashy there. I'd probably say Charles Snowden with the 2 QB hits, sack, and tackle for loss. Probably the best player there.
I think the Miami has a pretty decent, very capable backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. He's done it in New England. He's done it in Indianapolis. So I think that's good to push Tua also in practice. And then if he does go down with an injury. And look at old Jesse James. Remember that guy? He caught a few passes for the Steelers a few times. So 2 receptions, 38 yards, and a touchdown. What I liked is they, went to him 4 times as a target. And I think that's something moving along in Fields' NFL career. He'll definitely use the tight end, I believe.
Yeah, and they have somewhat quality of a trio there in Chicago with Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, and Jesse James. The Bears covered -3.5. Under 36. Broncos whooping up on the Vikings, 33-6. Drew Lock looked fantastic.
Yeah.
So did Bridgewater, though. So
I think this was this is another thing. Quarterback play, like I talked about, is kind of the theme this week. You had a lot of good quarterback play, and some of it was on the same team.
yeah, I'm kind of mad though because we'll have to see what week 2 brings, but I was ready to discard Drew Lock on my dynasty team. I was all hyped up for him last year. didn't perform. There were other circumstances that occurred in Denver, but still didn't perform. So we'll have to see who wins this. I think, I would think coming out of this game that Locke would have the upper hand. I mean, both quarterbacks' statistics look great. And
they've backed him Locke before, just saying, hey, we believe in him. We want to keep seeing some of the stuff, the flashes of goodness we've seen.
Yeah. On the other side, Kellen Mond's rookie debut did not go very well. 6 for 16, 53 yards. Did run it for 25 yards on 5 carries. The interesting thing that I saw with Minnesota, though, was the lack of offensive players that played, especially when you look at the running backs. Only 2 running backs got carries. AJ Rose Jr., who led the game. I mean, you're going to lead the game preseason when you're getting 25 carries. No other back is even getting close to that number of carries in the preseason. And then Amir Abdullah was the other running back. Kellen Mond ran it 5 times. The wide receiver, Amir Smith-Marset, ran once. And they only played 2 quarterbacks.
I didn't get to catch a lot of it. I mean, the game was already out of hand. But Patrick Surtain, I thought, looked good in coverage. I mean, his dad, what he was capable of. But I thought that was, a bright spot on, you get Von Miller back. If he can be healthy, I think if you can just figure out that quarterback position. And maybe you ride with these type of 2 quarterbacks. I mean, not that I would want to do this as a coach, but maybe you just ride the hot hand. If someone doesn't have a great week, well, Bridgewater, or maybe someone looks better against this defense versus that defense. But I'm with you. I think Drew Lock did everything to say, hey, I've been here. I'm still the starter. You're welcome to bring Bridgewater in and have a competition, but I'm going to beat him out.
Yeah, Patrick Surtain with the 30-yard pick 6 off of Jake Browning, the other quarterback playing for the Vikings. I liked that KJ Hamler got an 80-yard touchdown from Drew Lock. Good to see him back in the game there. And then PJ Locke for the Broncos, safety, 3 pass deflections there.
I think an interesting thing before we move on about the Vikings is, okay, Mon didn't play well, so who's after him, really? And all those carries, we all know if Cook is healthy, he's going to get them. But are you going to win ball games by handing it off? So what's their identity moving forward? Like if Jefferson is injured like they think, like who's Cousins going to go to? We know who they have, though, as a wide receiver, but they could be in some trouble if they just have to rely on just handing the ball off.
Yeah, for sure. Broncos covered -2.5 and over 34. All right, Browns beating the Jags 23-13. Kyle Lauletta with a big workload for Cleveland. Well, him and Case Keenum actually got quite a bit of each half. But yeah, Lauletta, fantastic. 70%, 212, 2 touchdowns off 27 throws. Pretty good. Jags quarterback play was not as good. CJ Beathard, though, yeah. I think they really liked what they saw from CJ. And I think that storyline is Gardner going to get traded now because CJ looks good?
He looked good. And, I think Gardner could have some trade value. especially with the right team. And that goes back to some of the quarterback play that I enjoyed and thought it was going to be, good moving forward. This was one of those that was a mixed review, right? Like Trevor Lawrence had a beautiful ball down the sideline that I was like, okay, this is what we saw in college, but there were some other hiccups. But you got to remember the Jacksonville's not a good team. Does that make sense? Like the Bears are essentially a little bit better team than the Jaguars. And so did that make Justin Fields look better? Maybe not. Maybe it's his skills translate. I still think Trevor Lawrence translates, but it was kind of a mixed review. But on the other side, even though they scored only 23 points, I think Cleveland could have a rock star offense this year if everything clicks. They could score a lot of points, and we know their defense got better.
Yeah. I think the Browns are fine. Like I said, I think this was a really good game. I don't know if, I feel like probably Case Keenum was in there already as the backup. But I'm just saying, dude, Kyle Lauletta, he's been backups before.
Shout out on the defensive side of the ball for somebody that had a wreck and a big injury. Richard LeCount, 2 tackles, 2 solo, 1 sack, 2 pass deflections, quarterback hit, and an interception. I mean, that's a good debut for having a motorcycle accident, missing some time, coming back, getting drafted later because of that. Good debut.
Yeah, 5th round pick for the Browns there. And let's see. Running game was not very prominent in this game. Dario Gumbawale for the Jags led the way with 24 yards. And wide receivers, Davion Davis for the Browns there with 56 yards off 4 catches and a touchdown. Another good performance from a rookie on the Browns defense, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, their 2nd round pick, had a sack, 3 tackles for loss, quarterback hit, along with 8 tackles, 7 of them being solos. The Browns covered +4 under 37 by 1. Ravens won their 18th straight preseason game. They haven't lost in the preseason since 2016, beating the Saints 17-14. I'm not sure who got the start. I believe Jameis. I think Jameis got the start. Him and Taysom Hill, similar statistics. Both threw an interception. Jameis did have a touchdown, but all 3 quarterbacks for the Saints threw a pick. So that's not what you want to see. And then Trace McSorley got the start for the Ravens. No Lamar Jackson. And we'll talk about his injury later, but
I just thought this was a slot. I mean, it's not fair to say it was a sloppy game. Preseason games are sloppy games. Does that make sense? But this one was just kind of overly sloppy, in my opinion, because you have Winston, you have Hill. They've been under center for the Saints. They're battling for a job. And so I expected maybe a little bit crisper play from them. Ian Book, he's a rookie. You don't know what to expect out of him because he had a huge offensive line with Notre Dame and didn't put up the numbers his senior year that most people thought he would. And so it's just, this game was just a mixed bag of reviews for me, if that makes sense. Like, I expect both teams to look differently going forward. And I wholeheartedly think the Ravens will look better. I think the Saints could be in trouble. We've talked about this. I think the Saints could be looking at 3rd in the division behind the Panthers. I really do believe that.
Yeah, one thing that looked good for the Saints was Tony Jones Jr. Ian Book's teammate at Notre Dame, rookie, 7 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown, but did put the ball on the ground. That was one of the biggest issues for the Saints. They turned it over 6 times in this game. 6. 3 picks, 3 fumbles. Ravens only did it twice. So
I'm telling you, if Thomas doesn't end the season with the Saints, they're not going to be in good shape.
Yeah. Great game by safety Geno Stone for the Ravens. 3 pass selections, 2 picks, along with 3 tackles. And a guy that will probably end up having to be featured a lot in Lil Jordan Humphrey. 3 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown. The Ravens covered a -1 under 36 hit. So before we move on from this game, who do we think has the edge now? Jameis or Taysom?
I would say Jameis. I don't know that I'm confident about that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to use Taysom in certain packages, and you're going to rotate them like you always have. He may be like the highest paid Swiss Army knife ever in the NFL, but I still think Jameis has the upper hand.
I agree. I still think, I only said it once, I think. But shock the world, Sean Payton, Ian Book's your week 1 starter.
Man, I don't put it past him. Do not put it. He does some weird things that sometimes works.
Well, and I think Ian Book is very comparable to Drew Brees. Not a big arm. He's going to dink and dunk you all over the field, and he's smart.
He's going to do exactly what you want him to do. Does that make, like, I'm not saying Jameis or Taysom won't, but like, I don't think that he'll try to throw in a window or overstretch himself. And maybe, Sean Payton sees where the team's going without Breeze, and I need somebody that's just going to do this to this and this, and I'm going to try to beat you by X's and O's for a minute. And then maybe he switches to somebody else. But, that would be a shocker. I mean, take that to the bank if that was true. I don't think that's true.
And while he's still young, you still have Alvin Kamara to run the ball with. So
he's really good.
I might throw a tenner on that week. Saints week 1 starter being Ian Book.
There's a whole lot of money involved, though, man. Money from upstairs talks often.
Not sure what the odds are. I'd have to check on that. But okay. The Snoopy Bowl. Too bad Chris isn't here. Jets, Giants, 12-7.
Toilet bowl.
Mike White getting the majority of the snaps for the Jets at quarterback this game. Not very bad. I don't recall the last time I've seen Mike White. So I don't even remember him last year in the preseason. I know he was with the Jets, but I will forever remember Mike White as a Cowboy. But yeah, former Eagle, Cowboy, Clayton Thorson getting the majority of the game for the Giants there, looking like crap. Did throw a touchdown. The Giants only score the game. But the rookie, that's what we all want to talk about. Zach Wilson, efficient, not many plays. But I heard that he looked very comfortable.
Look, he supposedly isn't a Power 5 like Trey with the 49ers, but both threw 1 to 2 balls that only certain people with arm strength can do. Does that make sense? Especially when when they threw it, they had to kind of scramble around to get it to the outside and just threw, boom. It just looked like like we were just playing toss with each other in my backyard, and it's just, and so I think with the young quarterbacks that are entering this year, this could be one of the greatest quarterback drafts. Now, this might be recorded on TV and they all flounder and I'll look like an idiot, but man, 2, 3, 4 of them could be really good moving forward.
I agree. I think Zach Wilson's set up very well in New York, depending on how their defense performs to give him support that way. But yeah, I saw a couple of his throws on Twitter. Looked pretty good. There were 2 other quarterbacks that played in this game. Mike Glennon started for the Giants without Daniel Jones being there. 3 for 7, 20 yards, 50.3 passer rating. And then James Morgan, the presumed backup, because what's his face? Josh Johnson. I think he wasn't ready to play, being only signed like last week. So James Morgan, though, 509, 45 yards, 69.2 rating.
I think, I don't think a lot of people expect things out of the Giants because of Saquon coming back and Daniel Jones being – but the backup, like if Daniel Jones does get hurt, that's a terrible – they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have like somebody that's going to come in and even be serviceable for 3, 4, 5 games.
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon can't. I mean, he's shown it, but this was not even first team defense, and he looked bad.
Well, there is a guy that is now at ESPN that doesn't have a job in football with two letters and a number as a name. Mr. Robert Griffin III. Who I've been advertising. Who I've been advertising.
He would be better than all.
I've talked about him the entire offseason. He's still whatever. But let's talk about the leading rusher in the game. Sandro Platzgummer. 4 carries, 51 yards. When I saw this name on ESPN, I was like, who in the hell is that? And turns out he is a player, a part of the NFL's international player program. He is from Austria. So.
Oh, wow. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. A lot of guys getting a chance with the NFL's international player pathway program. So. Michael P. Ryan, not great average at all, but did score. That's why he's on there. Let's see. I heard some rave reviews from Giants people about David Sills.
No, he did. Yeah, he performed well. That'd be my one takeaway that I took from watching. I obviously didn't watch the full game by any means. It wasn't that exciting, but he looked promising. Good word.
Yeah, former West Virginia Mountaineer there. Going to be tough to make the roster as a wide receiver though on this team.
I would say he gets picked up though, if he doesn't make the roster. And West Virginia wide receivers haven't been terrible in the NFL league. They haven't been world beaters, but they've been serviceable.
Bunch of good performances on defense in this game, though. Obviously, it was a low scoring, so you'd expect that. Hamilcar Rashed Jr., 1.5 sacks, tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Bryce Huff, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits. And then Jonathan Marshall, a sack, 2 QB hits, and a safety. What you notice with those 3 defensive performances, though, they are all for the New York Jets. Robert Saleh's trademark. So starting off well on the defensive side of the ball for them.
Yep.
The Jets covered -2.5 under 34. Bengals taking down the Super Bowl champs, 19-14. Too bad it doesn't count, Cincinnati. Yeah, Tom Brady barely played. The two quarterbacks for Cincinnati didn't look the greatest. Both threw a pick.
Kyle Trask.
Yeah, Kyle Trask did not have a good rookie debut, just like Kellen Mond.
Yeah, he might have looked the worst at all.
Yeah, second round quarterback play this week did not look great. Him and Kellen Mond are the only second round quarterbacks, though. So,
but when you look at it, I mean, Blaine Gabbert's been in the league forever. And did he look terrible? No. Did he look great? No. He looked really mediocre.
Ryan Griffin looked like crap. 2 picks.
If Shermer didn't throw an interception, he would have been, decent play. And you can't get mad about Brandon Allen besides his interception as well. So it goes back to taking care of the ball. Whatever, when you're going to hold the ball that much, you got to take care of it. And I guess the one thing you can say about Trask is he didn't throw an interception, but he didn't throw it near receivers either.
Yeah. This was a turnover fest. 4 for the Bengals, 3 for the Bucks. So one person that didn't turn it over was Tom Brady. He only threw it 2 times though.
That dude is ageless. I
was surprised he played.
I take back everything I've ever said. Well, I do. I that was what was flabbergasting to me was he took 2 snaps in the game. I was like, what? In week 1?
I was very surprised.
Joe Montana did go 4-0 in Super Bowls, but this dude is going to play until he's, I don't know, he might have a grandson on his lap on the sideline and check into the game and take some snaps. I don't know at this point. And he looks good. How about Jacquez Patrick with the 15 carries, 71 yards? I mean, it's not first team defense, but if you gain 4.7 yards per average, you got a place in this league somewhere, second, third string.
Yeah, Jacques Patrick, another guy, part of the XFL last season. He played for the Houston Roughnecks as well, I believe.
They've produced some good week 1 stats. If they keep doing this, what do you, not to get off track, but what do you think about the XFL kind of maybe being a pipeline of getting people in the NFL? I definitely see it as maybe a third string running back, quarterback, tight end. Those are the 3 positions I really think they could develop in the XFL.
I think that's what they want to be. The reason why the XFL folded in the first, reiteration of it was, they weren't bringing in enough revenue.
Yeah. With The Rock, that might change. You never know, man. God.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You need people to buy merch. You need people to buy tickets to games. And it's like, it's hard with, football being once a week. Hard to bring in a lot of revenue as a new league. So
and people love college football too. So
yeah. Rookie out of Michigan, Chris Evans running the ball. Not very good, 2.1 per. Did get a bunch of carries though. I like to see that. Defensively, Joe Jones, pick 6 there for the Bucks. And Darius Hodge for the Bengals, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 5 quarterback hits. Man was eating.
yeah.
That might have been why the quarterback play was so bad, though. As you can see on just the few defensive players that I put on here, there were a lot of quarterback hits. So might have affected a bunch of throws. The Bengals covered +6, under 34 by 1. Texans rolling the Packers 26-7. Jordan Love looked okay. I was watching this one at dinner. I mean, he was decent. I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular that I saw. The one thing that was spectacular, I thought Davis Mills played very well as a third-round pick.
I thought that was funny because that's all I kept thinking about when watching some clips of this game and just following it along as I was doing things this weekend was that's Rusty's guy. He keeps saying if Watson's out, I'm telling you, this is the guy. And I just kept thinking about that when he made some good things. I think you're going to have, in your first game, you're going to have some misses. He did have a turnover, but he looked like if you put better player, it's twofold, right? Like you're not playing first team defense, but you don't have your weapons around you. And so are you trying to do more than you should because you don't have your everybody around you? I mean, people in sports understand what I'm trying to get at. Like he's going to be better with even more talent around him, in my opinion, is what I saw. And so I was with you there. Tyrod, he's always somewhere on a roster, right? 4 for 4, 40 yards. I mean, that doesn't always translate to first team though either, right? And so I just thought my takeaway before we get into the defense side and your take on it was like the Packers did nothing, in my opinion, to answer like why they shouldn't do what Matt or Aaron Rodgers wants them to do. Does that make sense? Like, okay, this is what it would look like without Aaron Rodgers, regardless if you had first team offensive linemen or defense or whatever. This is what it's going to look like if you don't have Jordan Love waiting to take over the reins and just be your franchise quarterback. And people won out when Aaron Rodgers leaves, if that makes sense. People came back because he came back this year and said, fine. And so and you're playing a team that's kind of in shambles as well with new people at the GM level and Deshaun Watson issues. And this just didn't look good to me on a Green Bay level whatsoever.
Yeah, Texans projected to have the number 1 pick. They have the highest chance per what is it, FPI, Football Power Index. But yeah, like I said, Davis Mills I thought looked good. 50% is not what you want to see. Neither is the pick, but first game as a rookie, that's not terrible.
I think
say anything about Tyrod. I mean, that's kind of a Tyrod stat line. I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over and he's efficient.
Yeah, he took the Bills to the playoffs. He did okay in San Diego and went down, and we already know what type of quarterback. I love the quarterback that they have there. But that's what you expect from him, especially against this type of defense. Like, okay, I'm not going to turn it over. I hit 4 for 4, 10-yard average, whatever. I think one of the takeaways I kind of chuckled, you being a Panthers fan and myself as well, Devin Funchess getting in on 6 receptions, 70 yards,
Yeah, I thought I mean, that's a very good stat line for Devin Funchess playing his first game in 2 years.
Yeah.
Or I guess in a year, whatever. Well, no, 2 years in, back to the 19 season. So, yeah, I mean, this is his first game as a Packer because he opted out last year after signing a 1-year deal. And I thought it was fine. Has a connection with Jordan Love already, so
Yeah.
I like to see that. The one thing that I think the Texans were very happy with was their rushing game. Top 2 running backs right there. Scotty Phillips, 66 yards, 5.1 per. And Darius Jackson, 5 for 37, 7.4 per. As a team, they averaged 4.6 yards per carry off 37 attempts, 170 rushing yards. Packers only ran for 49. So Chris Conley also looked good. One of the million free agency acquisitions by Nick Caserio. In Houston, defensive stats, there wasn't many to pick from. Warren Burks probably is my guy there. And then Kaimi Fairbairn, another great kicking performance, 4 for 4 for field goals, 42 long, 2 for 2 extra points.
Do you think that Deshaun is starting week 1?
No.
And do you think Scotty Phillips becomes the lead back in Houston?
No.
That one, I would say he has a chance. I'm not willing to say yes, but I think that he can get significant snaps. Does that make sense?
Are you forgetting who they have in Houston, Mark?
Yeah, but I'm not sold.
David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, Rex Burkhead.
I'm saying one of them is going to get hurt. And I'm not sold on David Johnson.
They have 4 guys already there. The
four guys are huge, but Philip Lindsay and Burkhead consistently get injured. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying lead back was the wrong question. Does he get any significant snaps from week 4 to week 12?
No.
Do enough of them get injured?
No.
I still think, though, when he doesn't make the roster, I actually think he's got a home somewhere. I've followed him, and I think he's serviceable.
We'll have to see what he puts in week 2 coming up here. Ole Miss. Okay. Texans covered +3 under 36. Computer would like to go.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about this one, please.
Okay. Chiefs taking down the Niners in Santa Clara, 1916. Boatload of quarterbacks played in this one. 7 to be exact.
Was it not? And was this not a fun game? Gosh, I don't know if you got to watch it.
I did not. I heard Trey Lance. I heard people say he looks good, but his stat line is all crap.
All I'm gonna say, I had
an 8-yard touchdown there.
Okay, look. How do you explain this? At times, I was like, he has a lot to learn. And then he threw the 80-yard pass, and I'm like, there's only a few people that can do that. And you know who I thought of? Josh Allen. And you know who had a few lumps in the first few years until last year? Josh Allen. And I'm not comparing them at all. I'm not comparing their talent or them as a quarterback. But he looked like he just was like he didn't go to a Power 5 school. But if he can figure out the players that were consistently at Power 5, oh my gosh, he can throw it off his back foot with the flick of his wrist, and it's going 82 yards, right? So there's excitement, but I'm with you there. When I watched this game and people were blowing my phone up, or I was looking at Twitter, they were like, "Oh, this guy is blah," and so it's the first game, and so I can see the glimpses of potential. But then I kept telling myself, it's not first-team defenses by any means, and you can't go 5 for 14. That's just, for me, I want to see the potential, and then I want to see consistency. I want you to hit a 10-yard drop as much as you can hit an 82-yard. I want you to check down and get us a 5-yard gain instead of throwing an interception for a first down when there's 3 men on one person. So it was a mixed review. But then everybody It seemed like everybody's mom, dad, brother, and sister came to play quarterback in this game after that. And I think that's why I just kept tuning into it. You saw Josh Rosen, who was a top 10 pick in Arizona, went to Miami, now is back on the West Coast. He went to UCLA. I mean, Shane Buechele, he's done this in preseason before. He's like a preseason god. His numbers are always good. And then Jimmy G was like, he looked like for 1 minute, he looked like he was giving advice. And then, like, the cameras did pan to him after the long throw and maybe one other throw that he hit in tight window. And he looked really uncomfortable. And it was like, oh, okay, San Francisco's got some stuff going on the sideline in the future.
I don't think I am not believing the Trey Lance hype. I'm a non-believer in that.
I don't think that I'm with you. I'm gonna back you on this one. I don't think that he is gonna steal the job away from Jimmy G. Does that make sense? The only way that I see him coming in and taking over is the media just making him like a savior over there, and I don't see it.
Yeah, I think it's still Jimmy G, and I'm gonna leave that at that. But yeah, I think all four of the Chiefs quarterbacks looked all right. Patrick Mahomes didn't play much, but only had to complete one ball while he was in. Chad Henne did what Chad Henne does. And then the third quarterback competition, I think both played like they wanted that spot. Shane Buechele and Anthony Gordon, both young guys. Anthony Gordon, a second-year guy. Shane Buechele, a rookie, undrafted out of SMU.
Oh, well, I said that wrong earlier.
The only reason I knew because I knew he played at SMU last year.
Well, we talked about him a lot last season. We love to talk about SMU when the games came up.
Yeah, and then obviously Anthony Gordon, like I said, second. Actually, Anthony Gordon is a rookie too. There's no way. He did not play at Washington State last year, did he? I thought for sure he was a second-year guy. I thought I don't know. Maybe ESPN calls him a rookie, so I might be wrong on that one, but I thought he was second year. Running, JaMycal Hasty, really the only guy that had any rushing statistics worth mentioning there. But he did fumble the ball once. So not going to say much. The receiving, not many yards. There's a lot of guys that caught the ball, so that limited the amount of yards. Trent Sherfield there, the 80-yarder from Trey Lance. And then Pringle scored for the Chiefs from Chad Henne. Defensively, Tim Ward was unstoppable. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. And then a boatload of other guys had 1, 1, and 1. So the Chiefs covered plus 2.5 under 39.
A lot of unders.
Okay, Raiders beating the Seahawks 20-7. First time fans in Allegiant Stadium.
It's a nice stadium. That's for sure.
Oh, I saw a a Twitter video of the one club, and it just looked ridiculous. But yeah, Nathan Peterman was the only quarterback the whole game for the Raiders. And he played well, very well. In fact, got them the win. So I was surprised about that. I don't know why. Oh, Mariota has a leg injury, so that's why. And obviously, most teams weren't playing their starters, so Derek Carr was out. I was kind of surprised they didn't have a fourth quarterback, but it's the Raiders and conquered. So
29 for 39 is not bad by any means. He didn't find the end zone, but he got the win, right? So
yeah, did enough. And the three backup quarterbacks for the Seahawks, not great at all, really. Kind of like the Giants, only scoring 7 points. Alex Magoo getting that touchdown there.
Gino ended up leaving, I think, with a concussion. I did not get to see this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sean Mannion probably looked the best. He had the best completion percentage, but least amount of yards there. Trey Regis for the Raiders looked very good. 4.8 average, guy out of Louisiana. Also chipped in 3 receptions for 20 yards.
They could have, you already know who's in their backfield, so.
Yeah. I think Trey Regis could make the roster, though.
They could have a very nice backfield, which would make Derek Carr's job easier.
Zay Jones still living the life in the NFL somehow. Getting 57 yards off 3 catches, catching all 3 of his targets. And then defensively for Seattle.
Love the name.
Ben Burkervin, 12 tackles, led the game there. And also Cody Barton, 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles lost, 2 QB hits.
Sean Mannion, Oregon State. Used to be a Ram.
Yeah. Yeah, now he's fighting with Alex Magoo. Actually, I think he's more fighting Geno Smith for the backup job than he is Alex Magoo for the third QB.
I can see that. Yeah.
Raiders covered -2.5, under 37. Yeah, my computer's hates itself right now. It's really slow. And that's why my video froze for a whole 2 minutes.
I didn't know if it was me or you.
Well, you didn't see my text then.
No, I just saw it.
Okay, Battle of LA. Chargers beating the Rams 13-6. No starter in this one, really.
The journeyman Chase Daniel.
Yeah, Chase Daniel played the majority of the game. A lot of passing in this game, not a lot of running. But yeah, I think all 4 quarterbacks, solid stats. Maybe not the yards you want for Easton Stick or Bryce Perkins. But the Duck, Devlin Hodges, fighting for that backup spot with the Rams. Who is their backup? Their main one?
Oh, the Rams?
Don Wolford, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Duck hoping he can latch on to the third quarterback there.
I mean, a lot of quarterback play. You're going to have that in week 1. It'll dwindle. You'll have some in week 2, and then it'll dwindle week 3. But, 7 for 10, 7 for 7. those are some good numbers. Just didn't go far, right? But Perkins found the end zone and still had 4 carries for 23 yards.
Yeah, Easton Stick. Really, none of the quarterbacks had a very good average per completion.
He threw it 24 times and only had 104 yards. I mean, 15 completions in the NFL, that's unheard of nowadays in a regular season.
Yeah, Easton Stick's average per completion was definitely the highest at 9. Chase Daniel was 4.3, Duck Hodges 4.5, and Perkins was 4.2. So, or yards per attempt, I should say. I guess that is.
And you didn't. I mean, you see the running backs. You only had 8 carries and 3 carries. Good averages, but I mean, it low scoring. Trying to see different personnel, and what I would attribute that to is no one really got into a rhythm. Chase Daniels didn't get into a rhythm with his wide receivers, and vice versa.
Yeah, I really liked seeing Larry Roundtree get a fantastic average 8/63. It was great to see. I think he could make some noise in the Chargers backfield behind Austin Eckler. You know, there's a bunch of guys that are so-so with Justin Jackson, and I'm blanking on the other guy that's there. Josh Kelly as well. But yeah, I think Larry Roundtree could make a case being a draft pick this year. One guy that I hope that you were excited that he got 4 receptions for 43 yards and 7 balls thrown his way. 7th round rookie Jacob Harris out of UCF. I didn't really know much about him at the draft, so I was excited to see that he got that many receptions.
7 targets and made the most of it, right?
Yeah.
I think there was one drop and then just 2 off target. Might not be right, but if I can remember. But that's awesome getting drafted that late. You look at the quarterback averages, the running back averages, wide receivers, there just wasn't a lot of averages for anyone to go around. I mean, you can't argue with 7.9 as a running back or 6. But the touches were hit or miss different times. I mean, 10.8 average.
Yeah. Nothing really stood out defensively. A lot of guys with like 2 stats. I'd probably say Justin Lawler, 5 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 QB hits is my guy.
Bronte Harris, I mean, 7 tackles, 5 solo, but I'd go with Justin as well.
Chargers covered a -3.5 under 32. Now the one over that did hit.
Of course, I enjoyed this game for many of reasons.
The only under that I bet. This is like the only preseason NFL bet that I made week 1.
It was fun to watch. There was, some pushing and shoving. There were a team that my wife and I cheer for. There were some UGA players on both sides of the ball. And what I've always said, I don't know that he made Colts fans feel any better, but he doesn't look terrible behind center. He doesn't look terrible when he's rolling around and looking for receivers. He has to make decisions quicker, if that makes sense. And who I'm talking about is Jacob Eason. The arm strength is there. He's got the swag. He's got the height. He's put on a little weight since he's left college. He did have a fumble, but if you go 15 for 21, I'd like to see it against different defenses, but I actually think these teams were as close of putting as many people as they can on the field to see what their product's going to really look like. Because we know Matt Rule and what he did with his drafts each year. Half of his team is Temple. It's hilarious. If the Panthers go second in their division, he brought half of the Temple team with him. I'm not talking about half of Baylor. He's got like, they said it on the game show, he's got like, on the broadcast, I mean, he's got 5 Temple people on his roster and 5 that will make the roster. And that's kind of unheard of when you're talking about a school that's not a Power 5.
Yeah, but come on. The only game that I bet on, I followed the trend of the unders, and of course the Sunday matinee game. They over 34. That's not what I have it on as a script. That ESPN had 1 point lower than what I got it at. But yeah, quarterbacks looked great. Will Grier, really the only quarterback that looked like crap. And
yeah, go ahead.
That's expected at this point in his career. It's a third-year guy, I believe, 4th maybe. And he just
third, and he started 4 games in those 3 years, and he didn't win any of them.
Yeah, and he's not been great as a draft pick out of West Virginia. But yeah, Eason, really good. Sam Ehlinger, I'm rooting for Sam Ehlinger as a 6th round pick out of Texas.
You know my feelings. I had Texas pegged to finish a little bit better because he's just so tough-nosed. And that was the same word that they used on the broadcast. And he did have, a turnover, but you look at Eason, he had a fumble too. But he's still 10 of 15, and he still got it done with his legs. And he looks like he can give hits and be punishing and take some. And the only thing I thought to myself is he's got to get better in the pocket because you don't have a long life. You can ask RG3, who's in the studio. You can ask Cam Newton. He should have figured it out in the pocket. His MVP season was legs, arms, but then they started hitting him a little bit different after that.
Yeah, I think the Panthers loved what they saw out of PJ Walker's performance as well. Not the completion percentage you want to see, but made a ton of great throws.
How about Chuba?
Yeah. Rookie, Oklahoma State, Hubbard, fighting to be the primary backup to Christian McCaffrey. That run on 3rd and 1 that he had where the Colts defense thought he was stopped and he just gets out of the pile and runs for about 50 yards is great.
We thought he was a better season last year than he did, so I expect some big things.
Yeah. I don't think he might not start the season as the backup because they do have Reggie Bonifant who they like.
Yeah.
But he's playing this game, so
I think you can use him as a pass catcher though. I mean, you have Christian McCaffrey, but coming off an injury, you're going to try to get as many reps passed around to everybody.
And that's the thing. Former 2,000-yard rusher in college. So the Colts, I didn't put him on here because the stats weren't there necessarily. But one running back for the Colts that I liked, I was really happy to see. Marlon Mack back in action after his injury last year. 4 carries, 12 yards, and also caught 1 for 3 yards off 2 targets. Was happy to see him back, even though now he is relegated to backup duties with Jonathan Taylor in town. So, but like I said, it was good to see him back. Terrace Marshall, another offensive rookie for the Panthers, 2nd rounder. They kept saying it on the Colts broadcast, which was, the one that they were using for the NFL Network broadcast. They kept saying they thought Terrace Marshall was the steal of the draft in the second round because a lot of people thought he could have went in the first round had it not been for injuries.
All right.
And we saw it. I mean, really, the long catch he had was a great play. First off, from PJ Walker getting out of the pocket and finding him. But yeah, and then you saw the speed though. Once he got the ball,
He's got some wheels.
so I like that. I like that he got 5 targets too. Thought that was very good.
That's what I was going to say. Give him 5 targets, see what he can do, especially when you thought it was a steal. Let's see what he can do.
And then we'll just keep talking about Panthers offensive rookies. Tommy Tremble out of Notre Dame, tight end, caught the touchdown from PJ Walker. And
did he remind you of anybody?
Who, Greg?
I mean, when you see him 5-6 years down the road, can he be a Greg?
Possibly. The thing that I hate to do it with the Panthers is I'm such a big Dan Arnold guy. So, I mean, if they get the 2 tight ends, there's one guy that's in between them right now, though, and a guy that I hope is off the roster soon. Probably won't be this year, but maybe next year if they can find someone better. Is Ian Thomas. Ian Thomas has been terrible draft pick since he came to Carolina and was supposed to be the successor to Greg Olsen. Never did anything. I don't expect anything this year, even though technically he is fighting with Dan Arnold for the starting tight end spot. I expect Dan Arnold to win it. So.
Well, maybe you see Dan Arnold and Trimble.
Defensively, nothing really popped. Marquise Haynes was the guy that strip sacked Jacob Eason and recovered the fumble. Gross Matos, love that guy, Penn Stater. And then Joey Sly, but had a pretty good day. The only thing is you can see the points that he missed would have won the game for the Panthers had he made those 4 points. That's what the kicking game does. That's why those guys are kickers. But Eddie Pinheiro for the Colts, 30-yard game-winning field goal with 7 seconds left.
Rodrigo or Pinheiro?
They were saying that it's a battle. I just don't think it should be. From what Hot Rod did last year as a rookie,
even if they decide to, like you said, I think they would go off road if they didn't go with him. He's going to land somewhere.
Oh,
I mean, he had a good rookie year. You could say it was inside of a dome and blah, 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 but he's going to land somewhere.
I think the Colts would be getting a lot of hate mail from fans.
He's a fan favorite, let me tell you.
And
he's still a fan favorite here, man.
And he just got engaged.
Yeah.
So, okay, the Colts -3 pushed and over 33. One game I bet. Every time. That's how my betting goes.
Sorry, Rusty. Sorry.
Okay. Start off NCAA news. There is one thing that I know you can talk about, Mark, because you're our NCAA guy.
I quit. I left. No, I'm kidding.
The Pac-12, ACC, and Big Ten, they're discussing a potential alliance, likely around scheduling. I didn't really read the full article. I just know it's becoming a them versus SEC.
Well, they want to stay in tune, right? Because the SEC is bringing on 2 teams that are going to make – if no one's heard this, when Oklahoma and Texas join the league in the proposed 24-25 season, they will make $3 billion in 1 year. And the NCAA makes maybe a billion on all the sports combined. And so what did I tell you? People were going to have to start making alliances. I thought it would be like 2 leagues and 2. I mean, there's 5, so it's an odd number. I thought the SEC would do something. So with them saying this, I see the SEC reaching out to the ACC, maybe the Big Ten or both, and saying, give me your best teams. Let's do this, and we'll do 2 power. We'll do like an East and West in the Power 5. And you're not going to see the Louisiana Lafayette. You're not going to see the Coastal Carolinas playing, Vanderbilts anymore. Well, the Vanderbilts wouldn't schedule see Coastal Carolina because they get beat. But you're going to start seeing, strategically games, and these mid-majors aren't going to get any more, bye games, if that makes sense. This is the first step in what I've been saying. Power 5 football will not be attached to the NCAA any longer in the next 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10. And Jay Billis needs to be the commissioner of the NCAA.
I wonder, though, will it continue to be a Power 5, though? Will it go to a Power 4?
Well, that's when
it becomes group of 6 instead of group of 5.
You either have to have an even number, or I think it'll be a Power 4. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think the Pac-12 is necessarily going to exist anymore, and people are going to line in about 4th leagues, or it'll become Power 4 regions. Does that make sense?
Oh, I think the Pac-12 will. I'm saying the Big 12 is out.
Well, I mean, yes, I said that wrong. Okay. Losing Oklahoma and Texas, you're not going to have Big 12. But the other league that couldn't get in was the Pac-12. And so I think those leagues go away. And what I'm trying to say is, you're going to strategically have like a split. You're going to have a Power West and a Power East, and you play each other, especially if you go to like a 12-team playoff. Then you're going to have the best 6 teams from the West and the best 6 teams on the East. Now, how do you divide that is going to be does that make, like, it's going to be weird. Like, Alabama, Georgia are going to have to be on the East with Clemson. That's a whole lot of teams, but it's 12 teams and you're playing for 1 title game. Or you just, like you said, get rid of the Big 12 and you have different partnerships for a Power 4. And then in those 4, you have the top 3 teams, right? And let's play a playoff. That makes a whole lot of sense.
A lot of stuff that will be decided. Still could have potential other realignments with teams, but
I think Big 12's gone in football.
NFL news. ESPN talked about RG3 earlier. Well, they signed another quarterback as an analyst.
This one might be more solidified.
Alex Smith. Getting signed by ESPN. He's going to be an analyst on multiple shows, including Sports Center and some Monday Night Countdown, Sunday NFL Countdown shows as well. So,
hey, it's deserving. Is that a good word? It's deserving. Not even the leg injury. Like, took some criticism coming out of Utah. Had some good years, had a great year with Harbaugh, was very good with the Chiefs and led to Patrick Mahomes. And then we all know what happened with the Redskins. And does he not fit the bill of the what's Jesse Palmer? Is it Jesse Palmer with the nice hair, nice teeth, and he's got the quarterback build? He fits a booth. persona.
I wasn't sure. I thought he might have been a more Dan Orlovsky. But Orlovsky's kind of fiery. I don't know if Alex gets that hot.
Dan Orlovsky's more. I love Dan. I love his insight and his enthusiasm. But he was a backup quarterback. You know, you're looking at Alex Smith, playoff game winner, starter. There's different echelons, even in the money and broadcasting world.
No one compares to Romo still.
Romo.
Okay, NFL deadlines here, cut deadlines. So tomorrow at 4 is the first cut. 5 guys from each team. So what? That's 150, 170 guys.
Will anyone recognize anyone's name?
I will. I'll keep you posted.
Well, I know, but like, let's say the guy that buys the package to watch NFL Sunday Ticket and does all the grilling and doesn't even watch a game, will he know one person? Because we all have that friend. Let's not lie. We all have that friend. There's someone that buys it because he wants friends and he thinks he smokes the best brisket and he doesn't know a thing about the NFL football.
I'm trying to get my NFL ticket. Marquette hasn't confirmed me as a student yet.
You can fly down to Athens if you need to. Come on down.
I need that student price.
You need that login.
Not that $200 crap. $100. But yeah, so rosters down from 90 to 85 tomorrow at 4. August 24th at 4 is another 5 down to 80.
And then 53.
Yeah, so that's this Tuesday, next Tuesday, and then the Tuesday after that, the 31st.
Steep drop.
That is down to 53.
I think that's just funny. You go 85 to 80, and then you go 53.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they, because this year is weird with having only 3 preseason games. They have 9 days this year from cut day, final cuts, to the season starting.
Right.
So it's a couple more days than usual. And so I don't know. I thought that was weird, but okay, let's get into some player stuff. So the Eagles, they activated offensive tackle Raven Clark off of the PUP list, battling for one of the backup spots there. Also off the PUP, Washington football team wide receiver Curtis Samuel, Patriots linebacker Chase Winovich as well. And then Chris will be happy to know Jets defensive lineman Quinnen Williams is also off the PUP now.
That's great news for the Jets. That's as long as he can keep producing, right?
Yeah. We did have a trade happen today. The Giants, they traded a 2023 6th round pick to the Houston Texans. They gave the Giants corner Keon Crossan, who I feel like Keon gets traded every single all season. And it's funny. It's kind of funny. It's not funny for Keon, but it's funny because this is the second time Nick Caserio has traded Keon Crossan. Also traded him from the Patriots to the Texans when he was still in New England, when both were in New England still. Okay, the Cowboys injury front. Defensive lineman Neville Gallimore, he suffered a dislocated elbow. He is out 4 to 6 weeks. Luckily for him, no structural damage, nothing is torn, so just a dislocation there. Also, injuries. The MRI on Packers quarterback Jordan Love's shoulder was fine. He sat out practice today. They have a rest day tomorrow, or a walkthrough tomorrow, so he'll be out the next couple of days resting his throwing shoulder. Not sure if he's going to play this week or not. Packers down to 2 quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Kurt Benkert. Let's see. Patriots tight end Jonnu Smith. He sustained a low left ankle sprain in practice. Not considered to be serious, so should be good to go in the dress rehearsal this week. The Ravens quarterback Trace McSorley, he's out the rest of the preseason. He has a back injury. Hopefully Trace is back for the regular season. They really don't have anyone else there anyways that can compete for the backup job. So gets better, Trace. On yesterday, Colts DC, Matt Eberflus did not coach in that game, did not call the defense. He missed the game because of COVID. Not sure he was positive or he was a close contact of someone, but he missed the game yesterday. And some guys starting to be cut. The Saints working quickly. They released defensive end Noah Spence and corner Prince Amukamara. Amukamara once again on the open market. Not sure where he's going to land. I'm sure he will get with someone. He seems to find a spot every year. So, and the Washington football team also started working on cuts. They released running back Lamar Miller and wide receiver Kelvin Harmon.
Lamar Miller has played a lot of snaps. That's interesting.
I think he just was never the same after getting injured.
Right.
Texans that one year, a couple years ago. And a couple signings here. The Bears, they signed long-time Eagles offensive tackle Jason Peters. Signed him to compete for the left tackle job with offensive rookie Tevin Jenkins, who is nursing a back injury right now. Other tackles that are injured for the Bears currently, Jermaine Ifedi with a groin injury and Larry Borum has a concussion. So all 3 of them are out right now. So Peters stepping in to help out. And the Niners, they signed linebacker Michael Kendricks. I think that's a fantastic signing by the Niners. Kendricks should be able to help them with their linebacker depth. And I don't know if he'll play special teams. I highly doubt it, but he can. I know that.
That's a good signing.
Other news here, the Steelers, they converted $7.925 million of defensive lineman Stephon Tuitt's 2021 base salary into a signing bonus. That created $6.34 million in cap space. Added cap space there to fit the Joe Schobert trade in, and also giving them more room to work as cuts happen. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, he is out once again. He won't play in week 2 here. And since Zach Taylor said he's not going to play week 2, we can probably assume that he will not play until week 1. So, and then finally, the Dolphins wide receiver Allen Hurns, he has a wrist injury that requires surgery. He'll have that and miss about 3 months with that. So, And that is all the NFL news we have.
That went by quick.
Yeah, not
Through it, so we didn't talk about it for an hour.
yeah, nothing major happened. So just some injuries. Okay, Big Ten preview. We got the East Division on the left, West Division on the right. So this is how I have it finishing. Top of the divisions were a lot easier than the bottoms to put teams in order. So yeah, as much as it pains me to put Ohio State over Penn State, that's how it's most likely going to happen. Now I am skeptical about Ohio State's new quarterback, CJ Stroud. And they also have the freshman who enrolled early this fall, who is forgoing his senior high school year in Quinn Ewers. So maybe we see Quinn Ewers starting by midseason for Ohio State if CJ Stroud isn't getting it done. Who knows? But yeah, I think Ohio State's going to win the East. Penn State does have a shot. I think every year Penn State is going to be Ohio State's biggest competitor in that division. Sean Clifford returns for his third year as a starter. Their receivers are now experienced a little bit, having most of their guys playing for the first time last year. And their defense is still solid. They, just like Georgia, I think Penn State knows how to reload their defense year in and year out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then Indiana, I think Indiana's the wild card, though. They have a lot of guys returning. Michael Penix comes back at quarterback. I'm trying to think if they're returning that receiver. And I'm blanking on the guy's name. Incredible receiver. But I think, Tom Allen got it rolling at Indiana now. I think, if they can get a top of a class quarterback, I could see Indiana making some noise in the Big Ten.
I'll agree with that 100%. They looked good last year. Was it a fluke or were they turning a corner?
I think he's instilled some foundational defensive pieces and mindset in that team. So
we saw the change with. I'm not going to disagree with you at all about the top of that division because they've always been there and they still get the recruits. We saw a change in coach at Michigan State. But we even saw Rutgers. I'm not moving them from the bottom, but they became a tougher team last year. You know what I mean? It was not we're going to go into New Jersey and just roll over these guys and go home and party. It was like, we got a game plan. We got to bring our A game. And, what is the wild card on this side of the division? Is it the quarterback play at Maryland? And there's two, in my opinion, or did Jim Harbaugh figure it out? Did he get his recruits? Does he have something up his sleeves? And neither one of those translates, in my opinion, to winning this side of the division.
Yeah, I was strongly debating putting Maryland above Michigan because I just think, like I said before, I thought Harbaugh should have been gone after this past year. I mean, he's been getting so much rope.
He's gotten a lot of leeway that other coaches in the modern era, that's all I'm going to explain it as, has been given.
Yeah. And never beating Ohio State, And he has the most losses against Ohio State as a Michigan head coach ever.
Without Justin Fields, if you don't win this year, then what are they doing up there? I think if he doesn't beat Ohio State this year, Michigan has to say we've went outside the family, we've went inside the family. They have to just go a different approach. Gut it. You have to market it different. You have to get different boosters. You have to get just a whole new culture and landscape up there because they've been just getting their tails kicked by Ohio State, even by Indiana or Michigan State has had their number.
Yeah, and I was surprised the other day. I don't remember what the one kid's name was, but when Michigan announced its starting quarterback for week 1, it was Cade McNamara, not the five-star prospect who they got at the quarterback position. Like I said, I forget what that kid's name is, but yeah, I was like, really? Really? You're going with Cade McNamara over a 5-star freshman that you got. But if that's what he wants to do, whatever. But yeah, I do love Maryland. Talia Tagovailoa, I thought looked really good last year. Maryland's got a bunch of issues, and they lost Jake Funk at the running back position, so we'll see. I think they're pretty scrappy, especially like I said, because they have a quarterback. Now it's just about getting everything else, and obviously you can't really do that as well at the college level as you can at the pros, where you can just go out and sign or trade whoever you want. But yeah, Michigan State, I don't know. I have no knowledge about what's been going on with Michigan State, so they weren't that great last year. I don't expect them to be great this year. And then Rutgers with Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano is probably the best Rutgers coach ever, but it's you can only be so good at Rutgers. So. And on the West side, I'm not as comfortable talking about as East. Obviously, that's where Penn State is. That's my team in the Big Ten. So, but I think, Wisconsin, they're always there.
They've always been well coached, right? They run their things, they run the ball, and their quarterback play was really good at the beginning of the season. Injury doesn't happen again, but they're almost like the Georgia, bam, you hit a game, derailed. And then your national title hopes are like, okay, can this other team lose? Can we get back into the Big Ten championship? Then Northwestern's gotten better. Iowa's always been good. And so that side is fun. I think it's a popcorn. Who could win it?
Yeah.
Could people win it? Could Wisconsin win it? I don't know.
That's what's always been the thing with the Big Ten is I like that it's shifting now. It used to be the Big Ten was just a gauntlet. You had Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Michigan State. You had 4 teams that could competitively win it every single year. And now it's switched to Indiana, and Michigan's taken a step back with also Michigan State. But now
Iowa has always been pretty tough, though. And Wisconsin, I've given more respect to the Big Ten than I think any SEC fan does, and just any Big Ten. Vanderbilt, if you put them in the Big Ten, they'd be on the bottom either side.
Yeah, but now the West is becoming more competitive in terms of just the division. I still don't think the West has the greatest shot at winning the conference, but the Western Division as a whole has become more competitive with Iowa, Northwestern, and Pat Fitzgerald being good.
I think Illinois could be at the bottom.
Yeah, PJ Flex bringing Minnesota along. Scott Frost is Lance on his last few legs at Nebraska.
What if Nebraska ends up at the bottom? I mean, these are real life. I think the bottom three teams, it could either of them. I still think Minnesota and PJ Fleck and what he's building at Minnesota is right there, right? Can he take over Northwestern? Maybe.
Yeah. So the West was really hard to put together in terms of just slotting teams in, but that's vaguely where I put the teams. I wasn't even sure about Nebraska, Illinois, and Purdue. So, and I think Northwestern could even be second, because I've heard a lot of hype about Iowa, but I've watched Spencer Petras play at the quarterback position, and I don't know what Iowa fans see. Now, their running back, Tyler Goodson, I'm a big fan of his, but Spencer Petras at the quarterback position, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. Do we want to pick how many bowl teams?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go by division. How about that?
I can see.
It's one conference, but which sides will get a bowl team?
I could see 10 or 11 total out of the 14. And you're going to get Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, Maryland, and Michigan.
That's 5 on that side, right? You're leaving out Rutgers and Michigan State.
Yeah.
And they could make it, they could accept at 500, maybe.
Yeah. I don't think Rutgers or Michigan State finish at 500 or above. Maryland and Michigan are going to be close to 500, 7-5, 6-6. On the Western side, I have Wisconsin, Iowa, Northwestern, Minnesota, and then I think Purdue gets in one. Even though I have them last, I do think Purdue makes a bowl. They usually always do. And then there's one more spot, so I think it's either Nebraska or Michigan State. Not sure if Illinois gets in.
I agree with you on the Wisconsin, Iowa, Northwestern. I think Minnesota takes it. So that's 4 on that side. And then you put it on the other side, that's 9 total. You said 10, 11. I actually think Michigan State could go 500. So does that equate to a bowl? Do you take a bowl? Do you punish yourself because of everything that's been going on at Michigan State? I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm not saying they're going to make it, but Nebraska has to make a bowl game. Otherwise, Scott Frost is gone, and they're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And so what does that do to Rutgers, Illinois, Purdue? What if there's an injury or something that happens at Northwestern or Maryland? Or, I actually like those guys. What happens with major injuries at Michigan? It could get interesting.
We'll give Harbaugh another chance.
But I'll leave it at that. I'm with you there. 9, 10, at best 11. Does that make sense? I mean, I think in a good year, any good year, 10 teams in a bowl is really good.
It seems like the Big Ten usually has at least 10 of the 14 in every year.
11 of 14 would be pretty good too.
Okay, let's go to Conference USA, baby.
What up? What is up, Conference USA?
West. So, just before we go through, Old Dominion did not play last year. That is pretty much the main reason they're at the bottom of the Eastern Division. But Conference USA West. So, I know. Western Kentucky, y'all, will win the Conference USA East and the Conference USA overall, come at me, please. Because my guy,
I think
Bailey
Marshall has a chance. They have a chance, but Bailey Zappi is the real deal. Does that help you?
Houston Baptist, baby. Bailey Zappi transfer. I just fell in love with that guy, man. Houston Baptist, he put up just ridiculous numbers and almost beating Texas Tech, dude. I mean, that was a barn burner that we saw last season. FCS versus FBS. And to go into Texas Tech and lose just barely, going toe-to-toe with their air raid there. That was just ridiculous.
I agree.
And yeah, Marshall is more than likely the favorite for the conference as a whole. You know, they have their guy returning, second-year guy. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Oh, gosh. Yeah,
Grant Wells.
He was good.
Yeah, had a great freshman season, true freshman year. So they probably are the favorites, but like I said, I love Bailey Zappi. I think the Hilltoppers got a chance. If you got a quarterback, you got a chance, right? So the rest of the Conference USA, I was totally unsure about. I mean, FAU, I knew a little bit. I think really Charlotte could have a chance to finish third in the East. I liked the Niners last year, and they're very well coached. So Mid Tennessee could shock some people, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, considering I believe their quarterback returns as well. Yeah, Asher O'Hara there for what are they? The
Raiders.
Raiders.
Blue Raiders.
Yeah. FIU, I have no confidence in. They've looked like crap the last couple of years. So
I agree 100%.
And like I said, Old Dominion didn't play last year, so I have no idea what they have.
They're around a naval base, and I've known them for having basketball. I don't even remember them having a football team. I wasn't stationed around them, but I did some work around it. So I'm with you there. But I agree with you on this entire side. Maybe sans who plays at home against Western Kentucky and Marshall, or how injuries play out. So I'm with you on this side. I might disagree on the other side.
Yeah, the West, just like the Big Ten, was tough for me to put together. You know, I thought Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech, North Texas, UAB. Maybe not UAB, but the first three that I had there, I was unsure about.
Look, the first three all have like a player that people should watch out for and see. Either they have a professional name in their lineage, or they could go to the combine and make a roster. But I could just never not give UAB a chance. They're in Alabama. They get so many transfers. It's a big city. It's where the SEC headquarters are at. And a lot of people defer from Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi and LSU to come here because they get more playing time. So they have a chance, I think, to be in the top two. That doesn't mean they will.
Thing about UAB, they lose their leading rusher and their leading receiver. And they have a sophomore coming back quarterback. Well, they used two quarterbacks last year, so I'm not sure who's the starter. But yeah, losing your leading rusher and leading receiver, that was detrimental for me. The now North Texas, they also lost their leading receiver, the all-time leading North Texas receiver ever in Jalen Darden, playing with the Bucks now. But they also have a guy in Deontay Simpson who was a sophomore last year. I like him. And no, that's Jair Shorter. Never mind. I saw Jay Shorter. I thought it was Justin Shorter. So, maybe not North Texas, but that's why I have them third and not first. I don't know. Louisiana Tech really could be the one, though. They played 6 different people threw balls for them last year. Led by Luke Anthony. But I think he's gone now. So Aaron Allen is the next guy. Israel Tucker, I think, also gone. So maybe there was a lot of guys gone from the Louisiana Tech team. Maybe I got to rethink that one. It looked like a lot of seniors gone. And Southern Miss, they got Frank Gore Jr. So that's
like I said, lineage.
We had Jack Abraham, one of their quarterbacks, has gone to Mississippi State. Tate Watley might be my Trey Lowe also there.
Watch one of these Texas teams just blow everybody out of the water, and we're just laughing. No, I'm kidding.
Well, my guy is still at UTSA, I believe. My dude,
quarterback.
No, running back.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Sincere McCormick, man.
He can run.
Well, I mean, they do have their quarterback though too. Frank Harris is still there. So maybe I was too low. They have Zachary Franklin at wide receiver. Yeah, maybe it is UTSA's time in the West.
It might be.
Because UTEP, I think UTEP had someone that I liked too. Maybe not though. Gavin Hardison, quarterback. Leading rusher last year, Deion Hankins, no. Yes. UTEP, no. Jacob Cowing, the wide receiver. I remember that name. But yeah, I UTSA really would be the one that I would watch out for in the West. Just looking at who they still have from last season. And Rice is Rice. So yeah. Okay. Bowl teams for Conference USA. Here we go. I could see 8.
Mm. 7.
Yeah. I got Western Kentucky, Marshall, and it's a toss-up between FAU and Charlotte.
That's where my toss-up was. I think that it's easier to pick like a 1-2 team on this side. But I think the other side actually has some bowl contenders. Does that make sense? I think you have stronger teams over here and some teams that are going to fight for each other but could still be bowl contenders.
Yeah, West, I got Southern Miss, La Tech, UNT, UAB, UTSA. So. Okay. Ready to not finish this thing out. I almost said that because we still got a game preview after we do the FBS Independents. But let's do the FBS Independents here.
Let's talk about it. There's some good teams here. I see some bowl teams.
So,
I see bowl teams.
Obviously, it's Notre Dame. They're gonna do do Notre Dame things.
Do you even think Notre Dame is the strongest of this crop this year?
They're still Notre Dame. They're still Notre Dame.
You don't think Liberty could go toe to toe with Notre Dame?
No.
We know BYU lost a quarterback, but
that's why I put Army over them.
No, I agree there.
Because I'm just not sure who it is.
I think Liberty can be good though, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Liberty should. I'd have to see what their schedule looks like, but they should beat quite a number of people. Yeah. Oh my dude, come on. Liberty has a legitimate shot of going 11-1, 12-0. I mean,
they have a coach that's experienced in the SEC. They've gotten some recruits. They had a good season last year. I'm telling you. And I'm not saying they're better than Notre Dame, but Notre Dame should play a tougher conference. So if you went record-wise, Liberty might have a better record than Notre Dame.
Yeah, because it's Campbell. I know Chris is Camels. We'll see if he picks him again this year against Liberty week 1. Troy, Old Dominion, and then their first FBS is at Syracuse, but I think they can beat them. UAB, Mid Tennessee, UL Monroe, North Texas, UMass. Their second Power 5 is Ole Miss, at Ole Miss.
Wow, he scheduled that.
And then
I love it.
They host Louisiana and they host Army. So it's a gauntlet at the end. But they should be going into that Ole Miss game, I would think, 9-0.
Troy could be a tough task, but I still think they're better. But I love that he's going back to Mississippi, who kind of cast him off. Didn't really cast him off. He did things, obviously, to not be the coach there anymore. And I love it. And what if he goes to Ole Miss and beats them? Like, I don't think they can score enough to beat Lane Kiffin, but it would be pretty funny.
Be tough with Matt Corral there, but we'll save the Matt Corral.
Watch that game. That's going to be one of the games I really tune into
for our SEC day. But yeah, I love Liberty. Malik Willis is, even before the season, he's rising up draft boards for the 22 draft. But yeah, Notre Dame. It's Jack Cohn. Jack Cohn this season, right?
Well, Notre Dame doesn't make the college football playoff. Yes or
no? That's what they do, though.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
No. I mean, Jack Cohn is worse than Ian Book was.
I mean, you either have two SEC teams, or you get a Big 12 because it's about to be the last year of the Big 12, or you get a Pac-12 team this year. I just don't see Notre Dame getting in this year. Notre Dame has to go undefeated. Does that make sense? You cannot have one loss and get into the college football playoff this year.
Well, looking at their schedule, Notre Dame's going to lose at least 3. At least 3. Maybe 4. Florida State, Toledo, Purdue, at Wisconsin. That was the potentially 4th one that I was saying.
I mean, if Wisconsin doesn't win that, then that side of the division is not very good this year.
But they host Cincinnati, who I think beats Notre Dame in South Bend.
I call that with you. I think Cincinnati wins this game.
Virginia Tech, and then they host USC, And again, I think USC can beat them.
And I think Chip Kelly loses his job the minute that they lose to Cincinnati. The minute, I'm not saying he's getting fired, but I'm saying at the end of the season they let him go. When he loses to the team that he left.
Yeah, not Chip Kelly, Brian Kelly.
Sorry, gosh dang it. Sorry.
And then the thing is the week after they host USC, they host UNC. Like they're gonna lose that one. Sam Howell's gonna roll all over them.
They better, because that would be the only game that he could, in my opinion, keep his job. You lose your alma mater, you do whatever, and then you play UNC, and maybe UNC's ranked, and they knock them off, and they say, well, we can't get anybody else. Well, the same story, right? I just don't see how he comes out of this season being the coach of Notre Dame.
Yeah, and then they finish up Navy, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Stanford.
I think that you lose one of those.
I don't know about that.
One.
I think could be telling week one, actually. Week one is my dark horse for Notre Dame's first loss. At Florida State. Mackenzie Milton, that's all I'm gonna say.
That would be something. If they lose that one in week one, they would, in my opinion, have to. I mean, it would be open for them to win 2 or 3 ball games. I'm not lying.
The crazy thing is, it's a Sunday night game because there's no NFL that weekend.
I'm just ready to watch some of these games. Now you're getting me excited, man.
As far as Army goes, I'm not sure. They return a lot of guys, I believe.
They're going to be solid. They won't turn it over.
Anderson. They return that McCoy guy.
They're going to play a lot of games close. They're going to beat you with field goals and running.
Dang, Sandon McCoy is gone though this year. That boy is. He is a great triple fullback for them last year.
Big old boy.
But yeah, Army's schedule sets up all right. I mean, Georgia State, Western Kentucky, UConn, Miami, Ohio, Ball State. Oh, good Lord. They got to go to Wisconsin. But, I mean, that game's going to be the quickest game of the year. Wisconsin's going to run the ball. Army's going to run the ball.
Quickest or longest?
No, because it's going to be quickest because they're just going to run the ball and stay in bounds the whole time.
Yeah.
Wake Forest, Air Force, Bucknell, UMass, Liberty, and Navy.
Three, maybe 4 losses.
Yeah, I like 9-3 for Army.
I think Georgia State actually is one of those. What do you call it? It's early in the season. It could go either way, in my opinion. Georgia State is really athletic, and they always have a really good running back.
Well,
and
quarterback.
If they can control the clock, and the military schools are not good at catching up because they don't throw it a lot. So can you use your athletes at Georgia State to get out in front?
Like I said, don't talk too much about Georgia State. We got our Sun Belt show coming up in a little bit.
All right.
But yeah, Claude Brown, the quarterback at Georgia State. Now BYU, who is the quarterback? Not sure. Baylor Romney. Is that who we think is? That's the only other quarterback that threw a pass last year for BYU.
Is that Romney's son, like the politician Romney?
No.
Cousin?
Well, they have 2 Romneys on the team. Gunnar Romney is a wide receiver, who I knew of him, but Baylor Romney is the junior quarterback this year. So
I'm with you. I just don't know who's going to be under center, so I can't even pick a record.
Yeah. I mean, they have a tough schedule, though. They start off 3 straight Pac-12 teams at Arizona, against Utah, who I think kills them. And then they host Arizona State as well, which I think Jaden Daniels,
It's one of those where it was really good. They beat Tennessee. They had Zach Wilson. You saw what happened at Coastal Carolina. Like, it's one of those years where people aren't going to be happy, but you can't fire the coach. Does that make sense? But you got to reload after this year.
Yeah, because I mean they lost Wilson, Dax Milne, and I thought they lost their tight end too. Who the heck was their tight end?
Yeah, they did. Didn't he go too?
Oh yeah, Isaac Rex.
Yeah.
No. Isaac Rex is a freshman. Never mind.
They lost one other.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But if you have a really good season, though, it solidifies you as a top-notch coach, though, if you could lose. I mean, even losing just Zach Wilson and still winning 8-9 games says something about you.
Well, I think, like we said, we're not sure about the quarterback, but I think what they'll transition to is more of a run game because they do return their top 2 running backs. Tyler Algier and Lopini Katoa both return.
Yeah.
Algier was great last year. 1,130 yards, 13 touchdowns on the ground anyways. So, but yeah, those first 3 Pac-12, they got USF, Utah State, Boise State, Baylor, Washington State, Virginia, Idaho State, Georgia Southern, and then USC. I mean,
that might be the toughest schedule in college football. Like, honestly, if you can look at the strength of schedule before the season starts, that might be the toughest schedule.
Yeah, that's very difficult there.
Gauntlet.
And then we're not going to spend too much time on the bottom 3. I mean,
they're not very good, guys. They're not very good.
They always are just so bad. But I had to order them somehow, and I thought UConn would be the best out of the 3 somehow.
UMass might challenge UConn. You don't. I mean, that's the only one. We already know the last one's not very good.
Yeah. Kevin, no, he's gone. I don't even remember any of these names on UConn's roster. But yeah, UConn's schedule sets up Fresno State, Holy Cross, Purdue, Army, Wyoming, Vanderbilt, UMass, Yale, Mid-Tennessee. Oh, good Lord. They got to play Clemson. Come on. That's not fair, dude. They're going to go to Clemson. They
are getting some money to put into their program. They got to travel west.
They have to go to Clemson in November when they're hitting on all cylinders.
That's just let me collect my money and go home, please.
Let's not play. Just give me the money. And then they finish up UCF and Houston. I'm not sure. One. And that one isn't even certain.
I agree with you.
Actually, no. Well, they could have 3 wins.
I'll go 2.
Holy Cross, UMass, and Yale. Yeah. Holy Cross has won their conference the last 3 years.
UMass beats them and they win 2 games.
Yeah, because Holy Cross has won their conference the last 2 or 3 years. And Yale is always good in the Ivy League. They're always fighting with Harvard and Princeton for the Ivy League championship. So that's why I said, I'm not even sure about that. And then the UMass game is a toss-up. So I don't know. Maybe UConn I don't know, gets Fresno State week 1. They're going to Fresno, though. And the opening line for that UConn Fresno State game, Fresno is favored by 27.5. So if Fresno State is favored by 27.5 against UConn, is Clemson going to be favored by 100?
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine? No, they're not going to play everybody though in the second half, right?
Yeah, but still, they'll put up 63 at halftime.
Well, that's going to be a crazy line.
It's going to be like 80. I mean, granted, that is dependent upon UConn playing as badly as we think they are. So things can change. But UMass, though, once again, I have no idea who any of these people are on this roster. That's great. The leading receiver from last year transferred to Louisiana Tech. Granted, they didn't play that many games last year. So, but yeah, UMass's schedule is Pitt, Boston College, Eastern Michigan, Coastal Carolina, Toledo, UConn, Florida State, Liberty, Rhode Island, Maine, Army, and New Mexico State.
I don't think that's a terrible schedule.
Pitt, Coastal Carolina, Florida State, Liberty, possibly even Army. Those are 5 games that they are going to just get
lose, but the other ones are all winnable in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean the UConn game is a toss-up. Not sure Rhode Island and Maine. I think Rhode Island is the better team in between those two.
But how about 3, 4 wins?
New Mexico State they can beat.
3 or 4 wins.
Maybe. I mean, they're not going to beat Boston College either.
No.
So that leaves Eastern Michigan and Toledo. I don't think they beat Toledo.
They're not going to beat Toledo. Probably won't beat Eastern Michigan, maybe.
Yeah, their best 3 chances are UConn, Rhode Island, and Maine, and New Mexico State. So 4 chances. All right. Do we want to look at New Mexico State?
Do you want to?
The team that lost.
Let's just talk about their schedule and move on.
The team that lost to Dixie State in the
Utah. Dixie State in Utah, a new Division I team.
Okay. So actually, week 1 isn't bad. They're only a 9.5-point underdog. Not terrible.
You got to steal a game somewhere.
Against UTEP.
Okay, UTEP. Nope, their offense is going to score too many.
Well, their leading rusher the last time they played in the fall was Jason Huntley, which he's with the Eagles. So, but anyways, the rest of their schedule: San Diego State, who they're
not happening,
30-point underdogs to. New Mexico, South Carolina State, Hawaii, San Jose State, Nevada, Hawaii again, Utah State. Oh, God. It's the same thing with UConn, dude. The same weekend, too. November 13th is a bloodfest weekend. UConn goes to Clemson, New Mexico State, to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, gosh. They must have there's somebody on the coaching staff that must know these guys, and they have to make money. Maybe they're helping old assistants. I don't know. They could beat South Carolina State. The only reason I say that is travel lag or whatever sometimes has something. South Carolina State has some good ball players, but they're about the same type of schools. Maybe New Mexico State gets somebody from Texas that powers them. That's one win, maybe.
And then they finish out after Alabama. It's Kentucky and UMass.
Nope. Unless they beat UMass. You're going to get a win against South Carolina State or UMass. That's your only shot. Where's the South Carolina State game?
What about New Mexico? In-state rivalry.
In-state? I mean, yeah. I mean, you
Mexico's
can.
got them like the last 9 times, though, I think it is.
It's always a chance. You're fighting for the same players. One school's bigger than the other, but you're still in the same territory. So you have a chance at 3 wins, right? We're going to say New Mexico, UMass, or South Carolina State.
And I wouldn't actually put it past them. I know it probably won't happen, but they faced Hawaii twice. And
hey, 1 out of 2.
It happened in the spring. They got destroyed by Dixie State the first game, and then they beat Dixie State the second time they played on.
Yep. Okay. Maybe they come out. Hey, I'm with you now. Where's the South Carolina State game?
In New Mexico.
I think that's a win.
Yeah. It's just mark it on the calendar, though. November 13th, Bloodfest Day in college football.
In Alabama. Wow. Oof.
We should see who else plays that weekend.
Jeez.
Because
it's right before Thanksgiving, or 2 weeks before, one of the two.
oh, that weekend you get a Thursday nighter with UNC and Pitt in Pittsburgh. Georgia, Tennessee, Michigan, Penn State. Oh, Michigan, Penn State, that's that weekend. Oklahoma, Baylor, Purdue, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, Virginia, Washington State, Oregon, Northwestern, Wisconsin. There's another one, Florida, Samford.
Ooh. Should be kind of competitive. No.
Indiana, Rutgers, possibly. Texas, Kansas. I mean, there's 3 though. 3 that could probably be pretty bad. 2 that are definitely going to be very bad. But okay, and I don't have a slide. I never do the slides for the game previews, but we only have 1 game on Thursday this week in preseason. It is the Eagles. The Eagles are the only team to play all 3 of their preseason games on Thursday, which I like. Patriots at Eagles. Obviously week 2, so down to 3 preseason games this year. This means it's the dress rehearsal game. So Patriots-wise, who do we think starts? Is it Cam again?
You know, Belichick has always alluded that that's his starter going forward. They signed him. And if any coach is not going to bring someone along too fast, that's Belichick. Does that make sense? So I think he does.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just, I think really though, in this game, we're going to see possibly, I mean, obviously Belichick knows best, but what I would do is, all right, we're going to start Cam Q1. Mac Jones is going to start quarter 2. Cam's 3. Mac Jones 4.
I agree, and I would even go on further and say, do they open up the playbook a bit more?
Yeah.
Like, Well, I told you what I saw from watching this game because you were tuned in to another game, I believe, when we were talking about it. Is okay. Let's see what he can do with different looks. We're not going to do run, play action, run. We're not going to do run, play action, run. Like let's see him under center. Let us see him in the shotgun a little bit more and go from there.
Yeah, and on the Eagles side, gonna see what Jalen Hurts can do as an encore. Probably won't see as much of Flacco, I would think.
Yeah.
And it's so weird this year. I mean, we have no idea with only having 3 instead of 4. Every team's taking it differently. So those are the quarterbacks. I really don't know much else storyline wise for the Patriots. For the Eagles, though, I know one of the biggest things right now is will Devontae Smith play or not? Because I know he was back at practice today, catching some balls. So not sure if he'll play this week or not. And yeah, like I said, for the Patriots, the quarterback's been the biggest thing the entire offseason with the Patriots.
It's going to be fun seeing it going forward.
I would be interested to see if the tight ends play for the Patriots, because Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry both didn't play. They're dealing with their individual own injuries. So, and just before we finish here, some last minute Twitter feed things. Bucs head coach Bruce Arians said he's not expecting Tom Brady to play this weekend, and he said probably won't play any of their starters. There was another thing too that I saw earlier. I thought maybe not. No. Daniel Jeremiah, though, for you, Mark, did say the Rams found an interesting player in the 7th round in edge rusher Chris Garrett.
Let's see it.
Never heard of that guy, but
maybe the inside person will make you look even better.
Possibly. And I don't think I see anything else here on the Twitter feed. So that's the show for today. We'll be back next Monday, recapping preseason week 2, previewing the 4 games next Thursday for preseason week 3. We'll also continue our conference preview series with the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, looking at some USC, Boise State kind of feels. But yeah.
I think it's going to be fun. Eagles, Jets, and honestly Steelers, Panthers. Sorry, I think those are the games I'm looking forward to talking about.
Yep, Colts will be in Detroit, Eagles at MetLife. The Steelers will be in Charlotte, and the Vikings head to Kansas City. I forgot to say, Thursday's game is 7:30 NFL Network. Patriots favored by 1.5, and the over-under is 39. So we're taking the under again for Thursday. It's high. I like it. So I'm not sure, though. Hopefully it hits. We'll see. All right. We'll be back on Friday for Football Friday, talking about recapping this Thursday game we just talked about, and then previewing all of the games coming up this weekend full slate of preseason week 2 action. And we will be previewing the Big 12 and the MAC conferences on Friday. So thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and FAApodcast.com as well on YouTube here and Spotify.